All the action packed in 180 minutes. Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m.
The time is 7:53 on Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms, and we're going to be looking into a story here around vaccination of animals, particularly in light of the foot and mouth disease. We have on the line with us the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, just to chat to us about what the plan is this week to start on these vaccinations. Minister, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you and good morning to listeners. Thank you for the opportunity.
So what is the plan that will be unrolled or rolled out this week? We need 900,000 animals vaccinated. Do we have all systems a go?
We're waiting for the vaccine to arrive from Botswana. That should happen on Friday, and then we can begin the rollout of the vaccinations. Obviously, we will start in the key control areas where we've declared disease management areas, things like places like KwaZulu-Natal, and of course in some feedlots in Gauteng as well, where obviously large numbers of animals are potentially at risk. And so those will be the priority areas started out. And then obviously we will move there to other areas like in Mpumalanga as well, where the outbreak is there, but not nearly as virulent or serious as in KwaZulu-Natal.
I mean, this will be a big concern with beef farming, particularly being such a big part of, the South African agriculture chain, of course, pig farming as well. South Africa's livestock sector has just started recovering from avian flu outbreak. What has been the added knock-on effect of this new outbreak of foot and mouth disease?
Well, foot and mouth has been endemic in South Africa since 2016, and it will always be endemic to South Africa, particularly in provinces like KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo province, because the major carrier of foot and mouth disease are buffaloes. And when fences break at game reserves or those animals interact with others, it leads to the spread. But obviously the plan is to try and declare disease management areas and to vaccinate from the outside in.
Yeah.
To get it under control. But obviously there are huge effects potentially on the industry, particularly dairy and red meat. And this is as a result of the fact that export closes when there are outbreaks of foot and mouth in a province. So exports to China and Saudi Arabia have had to be halted. It also potentially has the potential to massively increase the cost of meat, as animals have to wait 28 days before they can be slaughtered once they've been vaccinated and are free of symptoms. So it could lead in the short term to medium term to shortages, and that will obviously affect the price. But the big loss is the potential of export. I mean, for instance, we should be supplying beef into the European Union. We're the only country on the continent with a trade agreement, and yet we're unable to access that market because of foot and mouth.
It's a really bad time for us, given the tariff wars and the ways in which the U.S. market has been affected. Their ability to export has been impacted with the tariff wars in China, at least. So we should be, up and running and filling those kinds of gaps at the moment.
Yes, of course. And as I said, Europe should be the big low-hanging market for us for beef. But nonetheless, we do have large export markets in China and in the Middle East, and those are growing. And there's a massive demand in those areas for South African red meat products. So it's that is also why we're convening today and tomorrow a biosecurity summit in Pretoria, where we're bringing together academics, the industries themselves, the players, to work out a plan about how we can improve biosecurity in South Africa. It's not just foot and mouth, there's plant and other animal diseases as well that we need to get under control. What we want to do is to make South African agricultural products aligned with the highest biosecurity standards. So it then allows you to get a premium for your products on international markets. So it's in all of our interests that the biosecurity regulations in South Africa are tightened, and that biosecurity becomes everybody's responsibility.
And I hear you on the export market. Of course, that is the proverbial cash cow, excuse the pun there. But of course, the local market, we are big beef eaters and big meat eaters in this country as well. At what point can we be sure that what we're getting on our shelves is definitely free of disease and at a lower cost, because we've sorted out this value chain issue? Will our local supplies be affected for a while to come?
Yes, they will be affected, certainly in the short to medium term. As I say, that even after a vaccination, there will have to be a quarantine period or observation period. But I do think it is important for listeners to understand that there's no risk of transmission of foot and mouth disease to humans. It's not a zoonotic disease, so it cannot spread from humans. All red meat in South Africa is absolutely 100% safe to eat. Once the pH drops below 6 in the carcass, all traces of the foot and mouth disease, would be exited. And so our red meat in the country is 100% safe for human consumption. Consumers can buy with absolute confidence of mind that they're getting a good product. What they are going to see, no doubt, in the short term, is some price hikes in the cost of beef, and that is unfortunate. But it comes down to the supply and demand. When the supply is constrained, obviously the demand goes up, and retailers and others will raise their prices accordingly. But we hope that once the vaccination program starts to roll out and we can start the slaughter of animals, and bear in mind there are also provinces that are not affected, that are also big beef producers, provinces like the Northern Cape, provinces like the Western Cape, they will continue to produce beef into the market unaffected by foot and mouth.
Yeah.
It's just now the outbreak in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng that are the main causes for concern.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the progress on that rollout, because, of course, it may not be a health risk for us, but it is going to be a cost risk for many people if the cost of beef and red meat continues to be high as we try and deal with this outbreak. But thank you so much for making time for us. The Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, just giving us an update on foot and mouth disease in South Africa.